When you're looking to grow on LinkedIn in 2024, understand that there's still massive opportunity. I can prove this to you with a few questions. Do your competitors in your niche post text content on a weekly basis on LinkedIn? The next question, do the competitors within your niche post video content on LinkedIn on a weekly basis? Third question, do your competitors create newsletters on LinkedIn on a weekly basis? Do your competitors do live video or audio events on LinkedIn on a weekly basis? Do your competitors host live video or audio events on LinkedIn on a weekly basis that do not bore people to death? Are your eyes opening to see just how massive the opportunity is on LinkedIn? We have to understand that only 1 to 3% of people on LinkedIn even create content. That's not people that create content well. That's just people that create some type of original content on a weekly basis. That, again, does not mean that they're creating good content, creating video content, going live, and writing newsletters. It doesn't even mean that they're contributing any type of real value. And I'm saying this because whenever you think about strategy, you want to think about where do you have the highest leverage. This goes for the platform, the medium, the frequency, the entire approach. And so if I were thinking about this platform or another platform, where do I have the highest leverage? Where do I have the highest chance of success? On a platform where only 1 to 3% create content and probably 0.01% do it well on a weekly basis, or a platform where even my grandma is posting content and going viral? Which one? It's obvious that you're going to choose the one where you have a greater chance of success. This is especially true if you're an expert that has 25 to 30 years of experience, because doing something like this won't be difficult for you because you actually know what you're talking about. And as we're going through this, I want you to put whatever questions you have for me in the chat. The second layer is to understand that not only do you have a chance to increase your reach, your visibility, and to stand out just by posting weekly, but the people that you stand out in front of are of a different caliber than other people on other social media platforms. And this is proven by data. 4 out of every 5 people on LinkedIn are decision makers. What does that mean? If you're a coach or you're a consultant, you're a business owner that is looking to close bigger deals, or that has high ticket services where maybe more decision makers need to be involved in the ultimate decision of yes or no, are you going to be able to close the bigger deal quicker or slower if you could reach the decision maker and remove the middleman? It's obviously going to be faster. If I don't have to go through Jane, John, Joe, and Sally to then speak to who I need to speak to close the deal, I'm going to be able to close the deal faster. This just increases the probability of amazing things happening in your life, because decision makers can just make the decision. They can make the decision to feature you in a magazine. They can make the decision to invite you on a podcast. They can make the decision to schedule a meeting with you today or tomorrow or this week without you having to go through 4 people and wait 12 weeks for a meeting. The third layer of this is that the average buying power of someone on LinkedIn is double that compared to Facebook and Instagram. If you are here to close high ticket clients, the probability of them having the resources to buy whatever it is that you sell is going to be higher. The probability of you getting on calls where people want to work with you but truly cannot afford to work with you is going to decrease. Because of that, you're going to have less wasted time, energy on calls that lead to nowhere and that take away time from serving your current clients and doing whatever you need to do in your business. And again, I'm not the only one preaching this. If you go to YouTube and you put in Gary V LinkedIn, he has a clip that he released where he's begging people to get on LinkedIn because they don't understand the massive opportunity on the table. They don't understand that basically they're missing out on something that is similar to Facebook 2000 2013 very clearly states that if you get to a point where you position yourself as a thought leader on LinkedIn, in 6 months you're posting 3 times a day. You don't know what could potentially happen to your business. And he explains this very clearly. And I want to know, if you want to post on LinkedIn, but you haven't started yet, what is stopping you? What questions do you have? Because I want to help you get started. Let's go to the 5th layer of what you need to think about when creating your personal branding strategy for LinkedIn when it comes from the perspective of leverage. So not only does this platform give you all the things that we just spoke of, but it has 3 built-in capabilities that when they work together, I haven't seen offered on any other social media platform. And the reason for that is that LinkedIn was not originally built to be a social media platform. And I'd argue that it's still not. It is a networking, which means that they really want people to start conversations, to connect in the DMs, to close deals, to get hired, to hire employees, to find investors. They want real people connections to happen. And the only way for that to happen is to build in some of the features that they have already built in. The first feature that will increase your success on LinkedIn is something called collaborative articles. Collaborative articles allow you to answer questions. And if you're upvoted the most, you will earn a gold badge on your LinkedIn profile. Collaborative articles will earn you this. It will earn you a gold badge in the skill that you contribute to. Here are the skills where you can contribute to. And by contributing to the same skill more than 3 times and getting upvoted the most for your answer, you can earn that gold badge on your profile. The second thing is the live events features, live video or live audio. It's imperative that you grow at least to 4,000 connections on LinkedIn. And I'll tell you why. LinkedIn will allow you to invite up to 1,000 people every single week, 1,000 first degree connections. So there's a difference between followers and connections. Followers, you could have unlimited followers. Tony Robbins has almost 6 million followers, but no one on LinkedIn can have more than 30,000 first degree connections. What does that mean? First degree connections are people that you can message whenever you want. If I'm your first degree connection, I could say, hey, Mike, what's up? Come to masterclass tonight. Send him a funny article or emoji. But if I'm not your first degree connection, I can't message you like that. The other thing is that if you're not my first degree connection, then I can't directly invite you through the invite feature to events. When you're thinking about the strategy, it's so imperative that you start to create content that attracts the right connections and that you grow to at least 4,000 connections so that you can take advantage of the 4,000 invites that you can tap into every single month on LinkedIn. And this is for free. This is not paid. You don't even have to have a paid membership on LinkedIn or Premium or Sales Navigator to take advantage of this. Just know that if you have 4,000 plus connections on LinkedIn, you are choosing to leave the ability to invite 1,000 people to a live event just like this one on the table every single week. And the cost of that, I don't even want to tell you because you'll probably cry. You're leaving a lot on the table. Let's just say you invited 1,000 people. Worst case scenario, 100 should say yes. And 30% should be there. At worst case scenario, you should have 30 people, 40 people live, and the power of that cannot be underestimated in and of itself. Now, the better your lives, the more consistent you are, the more people attend, the more people share it, and it can just snowball and compound. The difference between 40 people being there in the beginning and 40 people being there after 5 minutes will obviously be determined by your energy, what you're teaching, and all of those things. The third feature is LinkedIn newsletters. I did a poll yesterday and it was mind-blowing to me that 54% of the people that voted on the poll had no idea what LinkedIn newsletters were. If you have creator mode on, you should have access to something called LinkedIn newsletters. What a LinkedIn newsletter does is when you launch it, it allows every single one of your followers to have the opportunity to subscribe to a series of articles. So if you have 5,000 followers, When you launch your newsletter, it's going to invite all of the 5,000 followers that you have to subscribe. I don't know of another platform that can get you newsletter subscribers like that. The second power here is that when you start to publish the articles, it not only will notify subscribers on LinkedIn, it not only will be posted as an article on LinkedIn, but it will also reach the subscriber's email inbox on behalf of LinkedIn. So you want to think of this opportunity as being able to reach hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands, depending on your following, of your current followers who will become subscribers in their inbox every single week. The fourth power of this is that your newsletters will start to be indexed and searchable on all search engines. And because you're riding on the domain authority of LinkedIn, both in the inbox and in the search, you're more likely to not only be opened in the email inbox and to be read, but also more likely to rank faster, even on Google's first page. Where people go wrong is that they want to sound cute and fancy instead of being direct and choosing a title that will attract the right people. So then what happens is that you launched a cute newsletter with all the wrong subscribers. Now, all the wrong people are getting your message in their inbox and you're not converting. When you're naming your newsletter, think about being clear instead of clever. Because if I see a newsletter invitation that's Life with Shankar, if I don't really follow Shankar's content, even though I'm technically a follower, I have no idea what that newsletter is about. Maybe I'll join it, maybe I won't, but there's no clear who. And so I'm less likely to subscribe. I recently received a newsletter invite, and I think the newsletter was called People Supply Chain. I'm not going to subscribe to that newsletter because I have nothing to do with supply chain, but that's a great name because I'm not the person that should even subscribe. I'm not his target audience. The people that will subscribe automatically to that are people that are A, involved in supply chain, or B, wanting to learn supply chain, or are leaders of people within the supply chain. So he's going to have a higher probability of the initial subscriber base being exactly who he wants to reach because of the niche title. If you want to launch your LinkedIn newsletter, all you have to do is click Write Article, and then over here, you're going to see Manage. You're going to see Create a Newsletter. Now, the power of this is that LinkedIn will not only give you the ability to launch one newsletter, but up to 5. So imagine all of the strategery and energy and results that could come from one, but instead you could literally have 5 different types of audiences, maybe based on the different products that or services that you offer or audiences that you talk to. I know there are some coaches and consultants that do both B2B and B2C. And so you could have segmented newsletters, one that speaks directly to the companies that you serve as a consultant, and the other to the one-on-one coaching clients that you have. So there's just so much power and potential that we will cover in the masterclass. So what you do is you'd click Create a Newsletter, and then here you'd put the title. Let's say that I wanted to reach electricians. We don't want to be cute and fancy. I could say like electricians community. So if you're not an electrician, why would you subscribe? Just speak directly to who you want to target. And this is important because all they're going to see when they receive your invite is your face and the name of the newsletter. So if they have to do work to discover what your newsletter is even about, then that's a problem. How often do you want to publish? It really depends on your bandwidth. And then a newsletter description. This can't be long. We will share how to become a leader as an electrician. And I'm just making this up. And then uploading your image and then click done. That's how you create the newsletter. The launch and the trigger, however, won't happen until you actually create the first article under that newsletter. I see some people that are like, oh, I launched my newsletter. No, you created the newsletter. You have to actually create the first article within the newsletter for it to be shared with all the followers that you have and for them to receive the invite to subscribe. Now, the power of content, which is also one of the main things that we're going to focus on in the masterclass, but one of the most valuable things to understand is that once you launch your newsletter, 10, 15, 20% of your audience will subscribe. Again, that depends based on how top of mind you are already and whether it's the right time for you to launch. There's a lot of nuances there because should you launch when you have 100 followers or when you have 5,000? Your launch will automatically be much bigger the more followers you have because the initial trigger will go to all of your followers. The thing to consider is that once it's launched, the main way to grow your newsletter is to get more new people to your profile. When more new people get to your profile that are not connected with you or that do not follow you, they will get an automatic invite to subscribe to your newsletter. So if you have a lot of connections and you launch and you don't really create content after that, again, you're leaving wasted potential on the table because you could be bringing new people to your profile, but how do you bring new people to your profile? It's content, right? So that's why content really fuels all of this. But I hope that the few things that I did share with you today were helpful. None of these things that I'm teaching are easy. They're simple, but they're not easy. And I could tell you exactly what to do. I could give you the playbook, and only about 1% will actually do it because it requires work, effort, consistency. And I'd say that it takes about 6 months of doing all these things for LinkedIn to potentially completely change your life. Now, that doesn't mean that business won't come beforehand, but I've seen the biggest tipping points really happen around 4 to 6 months, depending on the person's inputs. It's not about time. It's a person that's really gone all in. It takes about 6 months. We know what we need to start doing, but sometimes until we really what we're leaving on the table in front of us, we start to realize we can't afford to leave that on the table. We have to start asking ourselves different questions in life. Sometimes a question that we can have, I can't afford to start LinkedIn. I don't have the time, the energy, the resources. And if I want to grow fast, I can't pay someone to do that. But it's probably the flip. I don't think any of us can afford not to do it, especially when you think about the compounding of what it could mean for you to build your personal brand on this platform. And it's just unfathomable to me to not think that getting seen by higher quality people more often will not lead to amazing things in your life, because I know that it will.